A farmer is standing in the field. There is a diseased plant right in front of them, and they are typing a description of what they see so that this bot can understand it, right? My groundnut leaves have spots that are brown surrounded by yellow. And it does give a very good representation of what an agronomist AI should do. It says it's a leaf spot fungal. Also check so and it gives all the actions, just as we have seen in the previous episodes. Now, WhatsApp or other chatbots like Telegram and so on can receive photos. And Claude can look at the photos, and the only reason that the bot is asking the farmers to type is because we haven't connected those two facts yet. So in this episode, we do that. When a farmer sends a photo on WhatsApp, the webhook doesn't receive the image directly. It receives a message containing a media ID, a reference to the image sitting on Meta servers, right? You call the Graph API with that ID to get the image URL, download the bytes with your access token, base64, encode them, and then pass the result to Claude as a vision content block. Claude handles vision natively, right? No separate API, no CR service, no third-party model. The same API call that sends text can also send an image. The content field is just changing shape. So the routing question is worth discussing because the classifier was built so far to build a text. So what do you do with a message that has no text and it's just a photo? So two options, right? You could classify the image with Claude Vision, adding a token cost every photo message, or an image with no caption goes to the crop disease handler because that's a very detailed thing. It's not a farm strategy thing. That's about crop disease. It's what every plant photo basically is. So we will go with that. We classify the caption according to the regular route and we pass the image along. If there is no caption, we skip the classification or the triage agent and we go straight to the crop disease, right? So that is pretty simple. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the code. All right, so our main function here is the download WhatsApp image, right? There are two API calls. First, we fetch the metadata from the Graph API and we use the media ID. It gives us the image URL and gives us the MIME type. And then second, we get the actual bytes from that URL with the same access token in the authorization header. And then we base64 encode and return a small dictionary with the data and the type, right? This is what we are doing. Now, if either of the calls are failing, we return the statement that image download has failed and it's a none. So the farmer doesn't see it. Next, we go to our main do post function where we are basically doing all of the main calls. Here we have three main additions, right? So we check if the type is an image or a text. And if it is an image, then we extract the media ID. And we extract any caption text and we call the download WhatsApp image that you just saw before. And if that media is basically not there, then we give the none and then we route it, right? So if there is a caption, we classify the caption the way you classify text, and as we saw, just normally, and we pass the image data to whichever sender gets called. So if there's no caption, then we default it to crop disease, right? And just give it the image data. So let's look at where it is handled. This is handling crop disease. And here we have the optional data for the image. That's the image data parameter. So it's fully backward compatible. The crop disease prompt does not really change. The Claude AI model is going to understand the image context naturally. It will describe what it sees. It will apply the same diagnostic logic. And for crop disease, it applies the JSON structure. So let's go ahead and check how this does with an actual photo, right? So this message of my groundnut leaves have spots that are brown surrounded by yellow actually has an image, right? This is from the North Carolina State Extension research article that talks about this particular disease. And I have that saved here. So I'm going to just pull it here and test it first with no caption and let's see how it does. All right. Oh, based on what you described, this situation needs expert attention. Please contact your local agronomist. So it thinks that it's going to be super critical and it's in a really bad spot. So it's escalated to a human. That is an answer, probably not the one we expected. So let's go ahead with something that is a little gentle, like this one. I can drag and drop it here. And perfect. So it answered the question. I don't know why it answered it in half Gujarati because I didn't ask it in Gujarati. So there's something I got to do. But it is saying that this is rust and it has given the farmer the recommended actions. And one thing we also notice here is the independent reviewer, it looks like they cannot look at the photo like the main app can. And that is something that we would add if you wanted to. We don't need to add it every time. It will cost more tokens, but it does give a response that describes everything correctly. Let's go ahead and try something else now with a caption with some other kind of disease. So I found some more diseases, and this is not from like articles, but I would just try and pick them up and place them here to see if we are getting better responses. And upon checking this photo, it does look like the metadata of the photo is red, and the AI might get tripped up based on the location data of the info. So here is a peanut disease photo that I'm just going to basically drag and drop here. And of course, I don't know what the metadata is, except that it's from a website called the Beat Sheet. So it may have certain things in there that cause it to respond in a certain language. But here I will say, what disease is this? I see it on one plant. And maybe that lowers the intensity of the alarm here because it shouldn't think that it's an emergency, which we saw in one of the previous messages. And it also tests our condition for how it gets routed if there is text involved. This is one of the actual diseases called late leaf spot. And again, it comes in Gujarati. I don't know why it still comes to Gujarati, but it does give the accurate description of that disease, which is the late leaf spot. And it tells the farmer what to do, what to add if needed. And this time, the reviewer actually has something to say, which is the treatment recommendation is incomplete. So it detected by caption and also put that into consideration. So we are getting very good responses from what the image should be providing. The bot can now see routing, disease diagnosis, independent review, escalation, weather, farm data, photos. That is the full stack. So last episode, we close the loop on the whole series. We write a claw.md to make this code base maintainable so that 6 months from now, or even if someone else picks this up, the bot's architecture is readable and extensible. Then we map everything we built back to the architecture it came from. What we built, why it holds together, and what comes next. So see you in the next one. Thank you so much.